Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, ask and answer a question, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching a Comic Hero Show. Now kick that intro! Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. The summer of superheroes continues, and on this episode, I'm celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Armored Avenger, Iron Man. Now I'm going to touch base more on the character a little later on, but for right now, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. Alright, on last week's episode, I asked, in the comics, which founding Avenger gave the Avengers their team name? Well, the correct answer is the Wasp. Now, some of y'all said Janet Van Dyne, which is also correct because I'm talking about the original Wasp, and which is Janet Van Dyne, not Hope Van Dyne or not Nadia Pym, but Janet Van Dyne. But if you said either the Wasp or Janet Van Dyne, I accept your answer. And 8 people have answered correctly, and because you've answered correctly, your name's been entered in the drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is... Ellie Kate Richard from Jennings, Louisiana. So congratulations, Ellie Kate. And you yourself a free Comic Hero tee. Alright, here's the question for next week's episode, and because I'm celebrating Iron Man on this episode, it's going to be an Iron Man question. In the comics, which branch of the U.S. military did Tony Stark manufacture weapons for? Now here are the hints. The first hint is that this branch is the U.S.'s Land Service branch that was established on June 14, 1775, and was first used to fight in the American Revolutionary War. The second hint. This branch has a collegiate academy located in West Point, New York. Then the third and final hint, Tom Selleck, Clint Eastwood, Ice-T, Mel Brooks, and Mr. T are all famous veterans of this branch. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. So, I gotta ask, any questions? I only have one question for this week, and it's from Robert Freeman from West Monroe, Louisiana. He asked, if money was no object, what is the one book or book series you would most like to own other than the obvious things like Action Comics #1, The Amazing Spider-Man #1 or such, and why? Well, Robert, there's only one book that I can really think of. It has been a book that I really secretly wanted to buy ever since I started buying comics, and it's not a book, it's actually a series. And that's Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, as I said a few weeks ago when I was mentioning the Crisis on Infinite Earths animated movie that's coming out from DC and Warner Brothers, Crisis on Infinite Earths is a 12-issue miniseries that started in 1985 and ended in 1986, and it was written by Marv Wolfman with art by the late great George Perez. Now, those are two heavyweights in comics, and anytime those two paired up to do a book, something magical always happened. And one of the first times they were ever paired up was in DC Comics Presents number 26 in 1980, and that was the first appearance of Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire. And then they would go on to do the new Teen Titans, and I mean, the magic was ending. I mean, that's just something that, the Crisis on Infinite Earths, 12 issues. And not only that, but that also officially ended the Silver Age of comics, and it ushered in a brand new age. And that, I mean, I've never read nor bought an issue of that book, and honestly, I would love to. And this is coming from someone that doesn't really like back issues that much. I mean, what can I say? I can be a fan of nostalgic at times. Alright, really loving these questions y'all are asking me. Y'all keep them coming, and I'll have another one on episode 456. And they can either pertain to the show, or they can pertain to me in terms of being a reader and a collector. But please, no tasteless or personal questions. I will not ask nor answer them on this show. Alright, now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, a few episodes back, I shared the unfortunate news of the passing of John Romita. And Marvel is, all month long, is paying tribute to the late John Romita. And what they're doing, I'm going to try to hold this up close so y'all can see it. But right here in the top left-hand corner, it has the centerpiece of cover art that he did for the Amazing Spider-Man number 50, which is the Spider-Man No More book. And right here it says, Marvel remembers John Romita. And when you open it, and this is just about every Marvel book that they're doing. When you open it, right here is some original work, some original pinup work by Romita. It's him sitting at a desk and at his art desk, and then all of a sudden, all the characters that he either worked on or co-created all come to life. And then right here, there's also a foreword by Marvel. It says, Marvel remembers John Romita. Marvel mourns the passing of comic book artist John Romita Sr., whose work on Amazing Spider-Man helped make the character a worldwide sensation. In his work as Marvel's art director, he designed the Punisher and Wolverine and served as mentor for countless artists during his decades-long tenure with the company. Romita had a profound effect on everyone he met at Marvel. He was always kind and warm and served as an inspiration to all who knew him or followed his work. Romita helped build the Marvel Universe as we know it, and he will be greatly missed. I mean, that is very, very, very beautiful. And then on here, they have some more work that he's done. And here's the cover to the infamous Amazing Spider-Man number 50. Of course, that's the Spider-Man No More. And then some cover work for the wedding issue of Amazing Spider-Man in 1987, and then some more, and then some panel work. And then also there's a few tributes from some folks from Marvel, and I'm only going to read two of these. One of them is from Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige. He says, John Romita Sr. was an incomparable artist who brought so many iconic Marvel characters to life on the page and set the tone and look for Marvel's comics for decades. His version of Spider-Man has inspired so many of us at Marvel Studios. Our thoughts are with his family and the generations of artists and fans who fell in love with the characters he drew. And this last one I'm going to read is from Marvel group editor Nick Lowe. He says, when you close your eyes and picture Spider-Man, you're probably picturing a John Romita Sr. Spider-Man. From his debut on the character in Amazing Spider-Man number 39, the subsequent 50 issues of art, more than 100 covers, and the work he did on the newspaper strip, John defined Spidey for generations of people around the world. That would be enough for anyone else, but John was also an excellent art director, a fantastic father, a doting grandfather, and a gentleman. All of us making Marvel comics and Spider-Man comics in general work in his shadow and strive to live up to the example of the legend Jazzy John Romita. Wow. I mean, that's breathtaking. I mean, he, like Stan Lee, he definitely is if there was if Marvel had a Mount Rushmore, he would definitely be up there with Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and founder Martin Goodman. And I mean, he was definitely a heavyweight in the world of comics. And my heart continues to go out to his son, John Romita Jr., who's currently the artist on Amazing Spider-Man, and then his family and everyone who knew him. Because, I hate to get Christian on y'all, but we're going to see him again on the other side. And I can only imagine the artwork that he's coming up with right now. Just imagine. But we love you, Jazzy John. Fly high. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, here we go. First up is the Amazing Spider-Man number 31, Legacy 925. Avengers number 4. Batman Incorporated number 11. Captain Marvel Dark Tempest number 2. Immortal X-Men number 14. Night Terrors number 3. Night Terrors The Flash number 2. Night Terrors Green Lantern number 2. Night Terrors Robin number 2. Night Terrors Shazam number 2. Miles Morales Spider-Man number 9. Red Goblin number 7. Spider-Man Annual 2023. Superman Annual 2023. Supermassive 2023. Wildcats number 10. And finally, World's Finest Teen Titans number 2. Alright, that's 15, which brings the total number of comics now bought since December of 1997 to 12,261. All right, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this week's episode. Here's the question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. In the comics, which branch of the U.S. military did Tony Stark manufacture weapons for? Now, here are the hints again. The first hint is that this branch is the U.S.'s Land Service branch that was established on June 14, 1775, and first fought in the American Revolutionary War. The second hint, this branch has a collegiate academy located in West Point, New York. And then the third and final hint, Tom Selleck, Clint Eastwood, Ice-T, Mel Brooks, and Mr. T are all famous veterans of this branch. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Ellie Kate Richard from Jennings, Louisiana, who won a free tee on this episode. All right, now Iron Man is celebrating his 60th anniversary this year. And Iron Man was created by Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, Don Heck, Jack Kirby, and Steve Ditko, and made his first appearance in Tales to Astonish number 39. Now, just like in the comics, Tony Stark is a founding Avenger. And, I mean, he is a founding Avenger in both the comics and in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then also, just like in Marvel Studios, in the comics, he used to manufacture weapons for the U.S. military. And what happened, and this is telling his origin, by the way, what happens while he's out there demonstrating some of his weapons, he ends up almost getting killed by one of the weapons that he manufactured, which was launched by some terrorists that ended up also kidnapping him and forced him to build more weapons for them. But there was someone else that was also in prison that saved his life, because when he fell from one of his own weapons, there was a shrapnel lodged inside his chest. And what happened was that this other prisoner ended up building an electromagnet that prevented the shrapnel from entering his heart and killing him instantly. And the terrorist wanted him to build some more weapons for him, but instead he and the other prisoner ended up building a suit of armor so that he could get away. And he took down the terrorist, and he did just that. He got away. And over time, he has been an Avenger. He's even been a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy at one point. Tony Stark. In addition to being Iron Man, Tony Stark is a millionaire playboy, one of the smartest men in comics, and he's also had different animated series and also been featured in an animated series. And of course, he was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he was played by the one and only Robert Downey Jr. I mean, he was so popular that in the 70s, Black Sabbath wrote a song about him. Yes, that's right. For all you kids who don't even know who Black Sabbath is, yes, they wrote a song about him, and of course they called it Iron Man. And one of the most beloved characters, although in the comics he could be a complete jerk. And then he's also an on-again, off-again alcoholic. But he pretty much personifies a lot of things that go on with us. And, well, yeah. But this is an Iron Man comic hero tee that I'm wearing. And inside the speech bubble, it's not really a speech bubble. Well, there is a speech bubble, but it's inside an arc reactor. Now, let me tell you about the arc reactor design. I had absolutely nothing to do with this. This is all from the brains of my good friend, Brandon Craven from Monroe, Louisiana. He came up with this 5 years ago. He texted to me. He said, "How about this for the front of an Iron Man comic hero tee?" I looked at it for probably about 5 seconds. I said, "Yes, all of this, yes." So, Brandon, love you, bro. So glad you came up with this, because Lord knows I did not have the arc reactor in mind when I was designing this shirt, and I don't think this shirt would have looked the same without it. So, thank you so much. And also, expect an Iron Man comic hero tee coming your way. And then also on the sleeves, you have the Iron Man faceplate. which is one of the other recognizable things about the character. Now, if you would like a shirt of your own, you can find them on my website, IamTheComicHero.com, for $20. All right, now here's the road ahead for the show. On next week's episode, I'm celebrating the 30th anniversary of Milestone Media, and I'm going to wear a Static Comic Hero tee because Static is the most popular character to come out of that publication. Even had an animated series that ran on the WB for years. And then on episode 456, I'm going to raise awareness of spinal muscular atrophy, or it's also called SMA. And I know some young people that have it, but they are living extraordinary lives. And this episode is in honor of them and their families. On episode 457, I'm raising awareness of childhood cancer. On episode 458, I'm raising awareness of PCOS. Now, PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it's a condition that only happens among women. But I personally know some women that have this condition. And folks, life is very, very difficult for a woman who has this condition. And on episode 459, I'm raising awareness of a cause that I haven't raised awareness of, but I was inspired by doing so by a former Weather Channel meteorologist who's now a meteorologist at a local news station in Washington, D.C., who was diagnosed with this cancer a while back and recently beat it. And that's blood cancer. All right. And also, I'm going to keep talking about this until the day comes, but on August the 19th through the 18th through the 20th, meet me at the Shreveport Convention Center, the site of GeekCon 2023. I'm going to be a vendor there all 3 days. And y'all come on out and support this con, folks. This is the only comic book convention in North Louisiana. That's it. This is it. And there's going to be 3 awesome days. Going to have some great guests coming. If you're a wrestling fan, The Godfather and Kurt Angle will be there. And then for all you Jay and Silent Bob fans, Jay and Silent Bob themselves, Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith will be there. And then Brandon Routh, who played Superman in Superman Returns, and then also the Atom on DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and was also on the cast of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, will also be there as well. And that's just the gist of all the folks that are going to be there. So come on out and support. All right, if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, welcome. And as soon as you're done, hit subscribe. And if you're watching this on the Comic Book Lovers Facebook page, welcome. And as soon as you're done, go on YouTube and hit subscribe. All right, I'm Victor Noli on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 455. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.